In recent years, billions of dollars have been lost to online investment scams run from organized compounds where operations were designed to control both the scam and the people running it. Victims were approached through messages and social platforms, and over time, they were convinced to invest in systems that showed consistent returns. Money moved into these platforms through crypto transfers, and users saw growing balances that appeared real inside controlled dashboards. Behind these operations, entire facilities were set up to run scams at scale, with teams managing communication, scripts, and transactions. Reports revealed that thousands of individuals were targeted globally, and losses reached into the billions across multiple countries. In some cases, workers inside these compounds were not voluntary participants, but were forced to carry out scams under strict control. Investors continued sending funds to unlock profits, believing additional deposits would allow withdrawals. What appeared to be global online investment platforms was actually a scam system operating from controlled environments where money flowed in but was never meant to come out. That system expanded rapidly around 2020 across parts of Southeast Asia, where organized compounds began operating large-scale online investment scams targeting victims worldwide. In countries including Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos, reports indicated that these operations were structured facilities running continuous scam activity through coordinated teams. Thousands of victims across different regions were affected, and global losses reached into billions as funds moved through controlled platforms. A comparable structure has been identified in investigations into organized fraud networks, where operations were centralized and scaled across multiple countries. Inside these compounds, communication systems, scripts, and account management were standardized, allowing scams to be executed consistently across thousands of targets. Victims were approached through messaging apps and social platforms, and relationships were built over time to create trust before financial transactions occurred. Money flowed into these systems through crypto transfers, and once funds entered, users relied entirely on platform access to retrieve their balances. This environment allowed the scam to operate at scale, where organized infrastructure supported continuous inflow while preventing real access to funds. As these operations scaled, the scam compounds created an opportunity by combining online investment platforms with controlled communication, allowing thousands of targets to be managed simultaneously. Victims were approached through social media, dating apps, and messaging platforms, and conversations were structured to build trust before introducing investment opportunities. A similar structure has been identified in investigations where coordinated teams managed multiple identities, allowing consistent interaction with victims across regions. Platforms displayed steady returns and growing balances, and users believed their investments were performing based on visible account activity. Money moved through crypto transfers into wallets controlled by the system, and users treated platform balances as accessible funds rather than restricted entries. Decisions escalated as victims reinvested profits shown on dashboards, added more funds, and encouraged others to participate. The opportunity depended on scale, where continuous onboarding of new victims supported the appearance of growth and stability. This combination of controlled communication and platform access created the opportunity that allowed the scam compounds to expand globally. As more victims entered the system, the scam compounds operated by separating deposits from control, where users saw profits while access to funds remained fully restricted. Teams inside these compounds followed scripts, managing conversations and guiding victims through staged investment steps that appeared structured and legitimate. Platforms displayed trading activity, profits, and transaction histories, creating the impression that funds were actively generating returns. Money moved through crypto transfers into wallets controlled by operators, and once funds entered, users depended entirely on the platform to access them. Small withdrawals were sometimes processed early, reinforcing trust and encouraging larger deposits from the same victims. Conditions were introduced for larger withdrawals, including additional deposits, fees, or verification steps that required more payments. Decisions followed these conditions as victims sent more funds to unlock balances they believed were already theirs. This mechanism allowed the scam compounds to function as controlled systems where communication, transactions, and access were all managed internally. As trust built through early interactions, the scam compounds expanded rapidly, and global losses grew into billions as more victims entered the system across multiple countries. Operations scaled by increasing the number of active accounts and communication channels, allowing thousands of conversations to run simultaneously. Reports indicated that organized teams handled scripts, responses, and transaction guidance, maintaining consistency across different victims and regions. Decisions escalated as victims committed larger funds, reinvested displayed profits, and continued sending money to unlock higher returns. The system reached a point where continuous inflow became essential, and withdrawals could not be supported without disrupting operations. At this stage, thousands of victims were affected, and the scale of transactions made the system difficult to challenge or verify in real time. Attempts to question the platforms were outweighed by ongoing communication and visible account growth, maintaining confidence despite underlying issues. This phase marked the point where the scam compounds became too large and too dependent on new deposits to sustain any appearance of legitimacy. As more victims attempted withdrawals, delays increased across platforms, and requests that were previously processed began to remain pending without clear resolution. Some accounts were restricted or flagged for verification, requiring additional deposits or documentation before funds could be accessed. Conflicting explanations emerged from different operators, and responses became inconsistent across conversations. Online communities began reporting similar experiences, and patterns of blocked withdrawals appeared across multiple regions. Victims who questioned the system were reassured with scripted responses, and timelines for resolution were extended without confirmation. Independent reports highlighted discrepancies between platform activity and actual transaction behavior, raising concerns about liquidity. Trust began to weaken as more users realized that visible balances did not translate into accessible funds. These warning signs revealed that the scam compounds were restricting outflows, indicating that the system was no longer functioning as a legitimate investment platform. As withdrawal failures spread across platforms, The scam compounds were exposed when large numbers of victims were unable to access funds at the same time. Investigations intensified across multiple countries, and authorities identified organized operations running coordinated scams from controlled compounds. Reports confirmed that billions of dollars were involved, and thousands of victims globally had transferred funds into these systems. Further inquiries revealed that in some cases, individuals inside these compounds were forced to participate in scam operations under strict control. Decisions reversed rapidly as victims attempted to recover funds, but withdrawals remained blocked and platforms became inaccessible. Authorities issued warnings and carried out raids in certain locations, exposing the structure behind these operations. Online evidence showed that communication networks, scripts, and transaction flows were centrally managed to sustain the scam. The scam compounds collapsed when investigations replaced assumption, revealing that deposits were real while access to funds had never been possible. Once exposed, the scam compounds revealed a repeatable structure where controlled environments allowed operators to manage communication, transactions, and access at scale. Money entered through irreversible transfers, while withdrawals depended entirely on internal systems that could restrict or deny access at any point. Victims relied on conversations, dashboards, and reported returns, treating these signals as proof of legitimacy without independent verification. The system expanded through coordination, where teams handled multiple identities and maintained consistent interaction across thousands of targets. Verification was delayed by design, allowing trust to build until the scale of deposits exceeded any capacity to return funds. Real-world outcomes followed, including billions in losses, widespread financial damage, and global investigations into organized fraud networks. This model demonstrated how technology and centralized control can be combined to operate scams across borders with minimal immediate detection. The lesson remains consistent. When communication, money flow, and access are controlled within the same system, the platform itself becomes the scam.